I'm Helene Cohen, and we're halfway there.
Hey, I'm Fede Pacheco, and I gotta ask you, Helene, is that a rock reference?
Well, maybe.
Well, it's fitting. I'm asking because it's fitting. Do you know that the guest we have for the first part of today's episode used to manage heavy metal bands as a previous job?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so the reference fits, and I'm actually wondering if he wants to manage our talent, but we gotta really sell him because he's really demanding and only likes heavy metal bands. So, can you sing?
That's kind of funny. But speaking of selling, Fede, today we not only have one, but we have two co-pilots in the agenda. We have co-pilot for sales and co-pilot for service. Last week, we talked a lot about knowledge workers, but today we're really expanding into the capabilities that are augmenting for sales and customer service roles.
Yeah, now that you say customer service, I remember it was one of the easiest or more salient use cases when we started talking about generative AI in 2023. People were talking about call centers and how they could generate scripts or formulate a script for their workers. And now, a year later, with Copilot for Service and all the results that we've seen, I wrote it here. They're helping solve 14% of the customer issues per hour. And they're also empowering them to solve more issues independently. That means they don't need to escalate it or reach out to a manager or supervisor. So that's really, really exciting what they're achieving so far in so little time.
That's so awesome. And for sales organization, can you imagine the relief that Copilot can save you 90 minutes a week when most sellers expect their team's targets to be rising and spending more time?
Yeah, that is so exciting because sales quotas are not going to get lower anytime soon with these tools. So we need to empower every seller and every service person to achieve more. Enough about it, though. We have an important and very special guest with us joining us. Sanju Nair is a senior partner marketer here at Microsoft. He's also in our go-to-market team. Sanju leads all BizUp strategy for us. And he actually joined Microsoft within a month of me joining. So Sanju, you and I know you know each other for a while. How have you been? Welcome to No Slides Attached.
Thank you so much, Fede. And I have my slides ready. I can share it whenever you want me to.
No slides, Sanju, please.
Right. So I think, joining Microsoft the year when you joined was a coincidence, but I think that's how stars aligned. And I think that's the best part about joining Microsoft, to share that year of joining with you.
Wow, you just called me a star.
Thanks for...
Wow.
You are
Jaw
my
dropped.
friend. Thanks so much for having me here, Helene, Fede. It's awesome to be here on your podcast.
It's fantastic. I think there's a little bit of a love fest happening here. So anyway, as we move on, Sanju, is it really true? Did you manage heavy metal bands for a few years?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was not a job as such, but yeah, right out of college, during college, I used to manage bands, run gigs. Back in India, it was pretty much a indie metal rock scene out there. So yes, I was a part of the metal scene.
That's exciting, Sanju. Well, one thing that we always ask, I'm really curious to hear your answer, is what is our guest's favorite Copilot prompt? So what is yours?
Yeah, for me, the one that I use always, like day in, day out, is recap this meeting. Even if I'm in the meeting, not in the meeting, couldn't attend the meeting, whatever it is, recap this meeting is like, it's a lifesaver for me. So I use that.
So even if you're logged into the meeting, but your mind is elsewhere.
I'm lazy like that, yes. I'm lazy like that, yes. Yeah.
That never happens, that your mind is somewhere else. Okay, so let's start to dive into our topic. Thanks for the fun there, Sanju. We were teasing this a little bit, but we really do want to hear from you. How has Copilot impacted the world of business applications, especially for Dynamics 365?
Yeah, so I think, Helene, before we get into that, I just would like to, tee up this conversation with what Bill Gates had said. And I kind of go to all my sessions with this. It's such a powerful quote, right? So like Bill Gates said, the advent of AI is as critical as the creation of the first microprocessor, cell phone, internet, right? These landmark events, inventions that happened, AI is as monumental as those. So industries are going to pretty much reorient, itself around it. I think our customers, businesses, partners, all of them will start distinguishing themselves by how well they leverage AI. So BizApps, Dynamics 365 is no exception to this. So we've had AI capabilities built into each and every product of ours, right? So all the Dynamics 365 apps have AI capabilities built in, and that's what we call as Copilot in BizApps, in Dynamics 365. And then we have something called, which is pretty much the meat of our discussion today. We have something called that's a business function copilots. And those are your end user targeted copilot functions that are available to the persona, to the end user, who probably might or might not be using Dynamics. So I'll get into that probably a little later, but I can tell you our partners, customers, everyone is super pumped with this Copilot capability, the AI capability that BizApps and the Dynamics 365 apps, right, bring to them. So yeah, I mean it's pretty much it's a phenomenal and monumental shift. I think we cannot go back to a phase where Dynamics 365 can be kind of divorced or separated from the Copilot and AI capabilities.
That is so exciting, Sanju. I don't think anybody wants to go back to the old days. But I also know you like devil's advocates. So I'm also wondering if a customer asks you, hey, why am I going to buy this? Why should I buy Copilot for Sales or Copilot for Services? What would be your answer in that question?
Yeah. So first and foremost, if you were to look at, say, Copilot for Sales and Service, Copilot for Sales and Copilot for Service, right? Both of these SKUs, products are pretty much built fundamentally on the same principles, right? So let's first look at Copilot for Sales. And I would say, Ferre, let's take you for an example, right? Say if you were a seller at a customer, right? What do you want to spend time doing? You want to spend time trying to, of course, keep up with your pipeline, be on top of that, be on top of your customer updates, work with your team, making sure that you're collaborating with them to try and land that deal. And of course, you don't want to waste time of going between your CRM platform and your Outlook, your Teams app, right? So that's the last thing you want to do. That's exactly what Copilot for Sales helps you with, right? So what Copilot for Sales does is it connects your Outlook, your Teams, right? Your collaboration applications through to your CRM, right? So to your third-party CRM, to your dynamic CRM, whatever you're using. So how that kind of adds value to you as a seller, you focus on what you do best, right? So you're, of course, building relationships with your customer. You're focusing more time on that deal, and wasting less time going back and forth between your CRM platform and your apps. So that's the ultimate value prop and the pitch that I would say our partners are using today as well as they land Copilot for Sales with the customers. And now if you come to the service part, again, I would say that this is my number one use case, right? Copilot for Service. It helps. I can just tell you that, if you look at a fresher today, someone who has just joined as a customer service rep at a customer, Copilot for Service helps you get up to speed and pretty much become a super agent within no time. How does it do that? Exactly the same way it works with Copilot for Sales. So Copilot for Service connects your M365, your Office, your productivity apps through to your CRM. Now that can be Salesforce, that can be ServiceNow, Zendesk, what have you. And it brings all that rich data, all that rich insights that you need to solve your customer's query, right? So you might be on that email, you might be on that chat window, interacting with your customer, and here is Copilot bringing you all that wealth of information, right? So for a service manager or for a customer, your training initiatives that you spend money with, your agent attrition because your agents are not, frustrated as they would be, or even your CSAT, right? The most important metric probably, the customer satisfaction. All of that, I think, is pretty much taken care of through this one SKU, which is Copilot for Service. So I think the value prop is that, right? Pretty much empowering your sellers, empowering your service agents to do their job better and not waste time, going back and forth between data platforms. So yeah.
So getting a little bit deeper, but not too technical because, again, we can't attach any slides on our podcast here.
Okay.
Can you go a little bit deeper on, how does Copilot for Sales work? The intricacies about, data storage and security. Yeah.
Yeah. So of course, I'll do that again. So like I said, I mean, connecting your apps, your M365, your Teams apps through to your CRM. That's the backbone, right? That's the pillar of our Copilot SKUs today. How does it work? Very simple. It pretty much gives the end user some awesome experiences via Outlook and Teams, right? And how does it do it? It connects in real time to the customer CRM data and to the end user's M365 Office data, right? So these are the 2 points that Copilot for Sales or Service makes the connection, and through these 2 points, it brings in all that insight, all that wealth of data that would help either the seller or the service agent's flow of work, right? So it brings in all that insight and it pretty much hands it over to the end user. So that's how it works. Now you may ask, like, what kind of data are we talking about here, right? So Copilot for Sales or Copilot for Service. Now these SKUs would pretty much access 3 primary data sets. Number 1 is your customer CRM data, right? So that includes everything right from your out-of-box CRM entities, your contacts, the opportunities, etc. The second one would be the end users M365 and Office data, which includes the emails, the meeting data, what have you. And the third piece is the Copilot for Sales or Copilot for Service specific data, which is your insights that this product generates, right? So these are the 3 primary data sets or data stores that the SKU would use and access. I can probably tell you what you might ask me next. Where does Copilot for Sales or Service store this data, right? So all the CRM data that is created is pretty much updated directly into the CRM, right? So that happens via real-time access. Typically, Copilot for Sales or Service does not copy any CRM data to other systems. Second data set that I spoke about, the M365 and Office data, it is created and updated directly into the Microsoft Graph. And everything that is Copilot for Sales or Service specific data, which is your insights and all of that, right? Which doesn't fall into those 2 categories that I just spoke about. They're all stored in the Dataverse. So every, it's all secure. And I think, you don't have to worry about, what kind of data is being accessed, et cetera, et cetera.
Elaine, I think we just installed Copilot for no slides attached because Sanjay is asking himself his own questions that then he gets to answer. So we can just take off for the day. See you next time. No, thank you, Sanjay. I was actually going to ask you, as soon as you mentioned data, my natural question was going to be, how can your customers be sure that we're doing this right? It's been a pillar of every episode so far and every episode that we will release. So anything else you want to add in that regard before we move to the next question?
I would say, on security, so I would probably take another few seconds to, make sure that we kind of land this with every customer. All this data that we access, right? It's all secure, right? So the Copilot data follows your data privacy, your data retention, security, and pretty much the compliance boundaries of those underlying data stores, right? So there's a reason why we are pretty much the number 1 and the most trusted platform, right, in terms of security and such. And also, I'm sure your audience would have probably heard about this, our ethical AI framework, right? So everything that we do here around Copilot is guided by that framework of those 6 principles, right? So you have that 4 principles of fairness, reliability and safety, privacy and security, and inclusiveness, which is underpinned by transparency and accountability. So these are 6 core principles of AI principles that we follow, and I think that every customer appreciates us for this reason as well. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Sanju. So as we start to finish up today, can you talk to us a little bit about, are there any prerequisites for installing Copilot for Sales? And what should our partners be thinking about?
Yeah, sure. So there aren't any prerequisites as such, because let me first tell you, how do we sell Copilot for Sales and Service licenses, right? So first and foremost, your customers can purchase this as a standalone SKU, which is $50 per month per user. And for that, what happens is you get the M365 Copilot as a part of it, right? So it's included in that SKU. You may ask why? Because Copilot for Sales runs on top of the Outlook and Teams applications, right? So hence to deploy even Service. So to deploy this Copilot for Sales and Service SKU, you need to have access to an instance of these applications, which would require M365 or Office 365 purchase as well. The second route that a customer can purchase these licenses are through upsells. So for instance, if a customer has already purchased M365 Copilot licenses for the $30 per user per month SKU, if they've already purchased that, then they can pretty much get Copilot for Sales Service by paying that additional $20. So I would say, while there are no prerequisites as such, yes, you need to have the M365 Copilot, which is again included, like I said, with our license. And one big thing is, of course, the customer needs to have a CRM platform, right? Otherwise, there's no point in buying this. So so that would be the prerequisites.
Thanks for that, Sanju. Just want to make sure that we confirm, you mentioned a couple prices in there. So just want to make sure we can confirm those are prices as of a particular date and how partners can go and make sure that they've got the right pricing structure.
Yeah, so the prices that I've mentioned, Helene, are as of June 2024. And of course, it's all there on our website. So it might change in the future. We don't know. So I would request our customers, our partners, anyone who's listening to this to make sure that they go to the website, they go to our Microsoft website and pretty much check the latest pricing of these SKUs.
Thanks, Sanju.
Sanju, it's been awesome to have you today. The energy, the own Copilots you created while you were here, we won't forget you. But no, in all seriousness, you were the greatest kickoff that we could have for the sales and service Copilots, and we look forward to having you in the future.
Thank you so much. So am I ready to share my slides now, or?
No,
it's not happening.
Not anytime
right, okay.
soon.
No slides attached.
Yeah, I might unattach your invitation too.
All right. Thanks so much, Helene. Thanks, Fede, for having me here. And it was awesome to share this with your audience.
And for the second half of our episode on Copilot for Sales and Service, we have an amazing partner joining us. EPAM is a multinational consultancy company in the technology and business consulting space. They're actually customers and partners in the entire Microsoft Cloud. We have Brian Blanchard here with us. He's the CTO of Cloud Strategy at EPAM. Brian, welcome to No Slides Attached.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the show today.
Thanks, Brian. And to get us started, we've been asking all of our guests, what is your favorite Copilot prompt that maybe you can't live without?
Oh man, that's really a tough one because there's so many of them. I would say my favorite prompt is probably what deals have transitioned to the closed state today. Because while I'm spend a lot of time in sales, my real passion is delivery. And knowing that moment when something goes from a potential to something that we really have to do to support a customer, that's the most exciting part.
I love it because it speaks to what we're talking today, reimagining sales with Copilot. It speaks to the
Mhm.
level that it's already embedded in how your organization functions, which is one of the
Mhm.
principles that we preach. We did a joint case study with EPAM about how you reimagine sales with Copilot. So can you tell us about that and how has this technology fit your business practice today?
Yeah. And there's so much that it's helped out with. Like, I support a large number of customers, and those customers could be all over the globe. And when you're going through day-to-day life, there's a lot of context switching. You may walk into a call and not always remember what exactly happened. What are we talking about? And the ability to just pull up a sidecar on the opportunity with that customer and understand what you're walking into is such a value add. So I don't have to have a 30-minute prep call before the customer call to remember what we're going to talk about. Or then at the end of the call, being able to summarize what did we discuss, what happened, what's changed since the prior call, and get that all recorded back into Dynamics easily so that on the next call, I can be reminded of that. And doing so without, again, another 30-minute follow-up call at the end to record notes, record technical details, just have it all summarized and right there at the opportunity. So not only does it make my life easier, but it also lets us scale more as a business because I could have 4 or 5 different technicians from all different parts of the globe in different languages joining in on that opportunity. And well, now they need to get up to speed as well. And so having that detailed history right there available from Dynamics in the context of Teams or in the context of writing an email is extremely valuable. And I'd say that probably one of the most valuable things for us is a lot of our systems come outside of just Dynamics. Like we may have our chat bot or our virtual assistant that someone's using to interact with things that we offer to them. And a whole conversation, a whole dialogue happens there, and that customers learn things. But if it ends there, well, who knows anything about that? So having that ability to have custom alternative sets of data come back to CRM, now we can include that in that summary as well. Or if I'm drafting an email in Copilot for sales inside of Office, now I can bring in another custom Copilot that we have around product and knowledge base integration from our knowledge base system and have an AI give me the right document, the right information. So I can augment an email with auto-generated email from Copilot for sales and my own personal product inventory of information and quickly draft an email that makes me sound really intelligent. And at the end of the day, it's Copilot, it's not me. And those are just some examples. We could go on all day with examples of Copilot for sales impact on our processes.
I want to point out that you mentioned extensions and making it your own. That's actually the topic that we have for the season finale and how our
Mhm.
partners thriving with it. That's the beauty of the Microsoft Cloud, right? So thanks for sharing that perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I can't wait for that episode.
Yeah, and thanks, Brian. I think, as I was listening to you, all I kept thinking is time savings, time savings, time savings, which is so
Mhm.
critical, right? Because time
Mhm.
equivocates to money, et cetera. So
Mhm.
that's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about what Copilot for Sales has had in terms of impact on the business for your organization?
Yeah, gladly. So if we think about the old world of just sales and delivery, they used to be really separated. And there was a really clear divide of sell a big deal to a customer and technical people came in. So in the new world, that's changed quite a bit. Digital product delivery, different offerings, customer expectations of faster time to market, faster sales cycles. All of that's changed the area of how we need to collaborate and work together. So time savings is important, but I would say the biggest impact is that ability to have multimodal, multi-engagement approach with multiple people anywhere in the world. And being able to know that going into the conversation with the customer, you all have access to the right information at the right time. And then on the other hand as well, capturing like relevant technical and business information to seed that collaboration, the time savings is great. But more important than time savings, if it wasn't fast and efficient, I can tell you I probably wouldn't do it. And I know a lot of other technical people that'd be the same way. They want to get out of that call and on to something else. And we'd lose a lot of that knowledge. So the time is great, but the knowledge we gain, the knowledge we share, our ability to collaborate are things that you might not often think about when you talk about a Copilot.
That is awesome, Brian. Can you also tell us a little bit about how the impact as a whole has looked for your business, for EPAM?
Yeah, gladly. So technology is a rapidly growing space, and we're in the midst of a global expansion. Today, we're at about 4.7 billion dollars of annual revenue. That's as of Q4 2023, so it's a little bit dated. But over the last 5 years, we've seen a 5-year revenue CAGR of about 21%. And so rapid growth, rapid expansion, lots of new opportunity with customers, especially as it relates to the AI space. And with Copilot for Sales giving us the ability to better collaborate, better enable that cross-regional collaboration and saving us time, it's evident that it's having a big impact on that growth and helping to fuel it for now and many years to come.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and it speaks to the reputation that you've built. I love the term you use all the time, dog food. You are users of that technology as much as evangelists as a partner. And that's exactly what I was going to go to next. When we've heard a lot throughout this episode and throughout previous episodes, the value of leading by example and being users of the product that you're selling. So can you tell us how that is helping you go and deploy this for your customers?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's helped us with learning these technologies on our own, building the right processes. But then, in addition to improving sales, it turns around and gives us repeatable offerings that we can drive to market. So things like our intelligent app and AI offering that looks at various different personas and the right copilot, the right tool, the right integration of data to serve their needs, which has a clear component that relates to copilots for sale. Or things like our AI COE offering of now that these tools are available, how do you implement the right practices to make sure people are using them wisely and that there's good protection in place to keep your data safe and avoid the wrong answers coming out of an AI-based tool. So those type of services are ones that go above and beyond just turning on the feature, and they help us really drive value for our customers. And we wouldn't have had those if it wasn't for the fact that we're adopting these tools in-house every single day.
And just to confirm for the audience at hand, COE stands for Center of Excellence, right? That's what your solution
Great
is all
point.
about.
Yes, sir. Yeah, our world of acronyms can leave people confused at times. Yeah, the AI COE is just that. It's an AI Center of Excellence where we help customers build that degree of excellence and performance into their operations based on AI tools and Copilot.
So, Brian, as we start to wrap up this episode, can you give us some information or some advice for peers of yours that would want to make this technology part of their offerings for their customers and kind of how to get started or how to integrate Copilot for Sales into their business?
Yeah, I would say if you're not using it already, the first step is turn it on, start experimenting, play with Copilot inside of Teams, inside of Outlook, and have it integrate with your CRM tool, whether that's Dynamics or it's Salesforce or whatever you're using. Turn on that Copilot and just start engaging. And pay attention to how much time you're saving and whether or not you enjoy that experience, because if you do, your customers absolutely will.
Fantastic. Well, Brian, thank you so much for joining us and for representing EPAM today. We are super excited to have heard from you about Copilot for Sales, and we look forward to your continued success and hearing more from you in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
It's been so much fun. This has been a fantastic episode, and we can't wait for what comes next. Our next episode is going to be all about security. That was a big topic in our kickoff episode, but now we're diving deeper about how data, the fuel of AI, is also the most important asset that we got to protect and trust that we are protecting right. So looking forward to that. Thank you for joining us today. We hope today's conversations have ignited fresh perspectives and inspired you to take new opportunities in this changing landscape of AI.
Stay tuned for more insights and stories on No Slides Attached. Be sure to listen in and follow us at noslidesAttached.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.